What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now today I have another play test for you guys, and it's on this boot right here, the Adidas F50. So I'm at the field, I'm gonna try these for the first time, and I'm gonna let you guys know how they fit, how they feel, how they perform, and just give you my first impressions on the field. I'll also let you guys know about the break-in process. Before we start the video, if you guys can, make sure to like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that, and we'll get right into the video. So overall, the boots are pretty easy to get on. Just this tongue here, this tunnel, you do have to like pull it to just get this material like straighten out, just because if not, it's kind of just bunches up here in this part of the foot. But once you do pull it, you don't really feel it as much. It does feel a little bit snug in the beginning, but after a while, honestly, you don't really feel it as much. Alright guys, so here are the cleats on feet, and honestly these are very comfortable. I actually like the way they fit. They do look a little bit weird just because obviously I do have a wider foot, and the material just like isn't as like easy to mold here, especially in the lacing part, and it's just a little bit harder. But here in the midfoot, it's very soft, and so I don't really have any like pinching here going on, even though that is like the widest part of my foot. They feel very comfortable. The toe box feels very nice. It's not as narrow, so my toes don't really feel so tight. And overall, I just really like the way these fit. In terms of sizing, I would recommend going true to size. These run perfectly, so just go true to size. Overall, they're pretty good. They don't feel as plasticky as the Adidas X Crazy Fast Plus. These are a bit softer than that, like straight out of the box. So I really like that. And yeah, overall, they're just a little bit more comfortable compared to the previous X model. Alright guys, after juggling with the ball a bit, the upper does get softer. You guys can see they're just super soft, and honestly the break-in period isn't that much. The upper itself isn't as like stiff right out of the box. It's actually pretty soft, and as you guys can see, they just get even softer, so they're very comfortable. And I would say the break-in time is pretty minimal, and that being said, I do have a wider foot, so you know, usually that takes a bit, but honestly these feel pretty comfortable. So break-in time is very minimal. In terms of the touch, this does have a thinner feel, but it's not as thin as the Crazy Fast Plus. It kind of feels a little bit like the 0.1, just a little bit thicker. It's still on the thinner side. You do still get like a barefoot touch on the ball, but just slightly like thicker. Not by much though, but it still feels pretty thin. This compression fit, honestly, you do feel it in the beginning, but now it just feels pretty seamless. Like you don't really notice it, and it is kind of hugging your foot, but it's not squeezing it. So you get like a nice snug fit, and I really like that. Alright guys, so after like the ladder drills and like the shuffles, I did feel like this does have a bit more structure than the Plus model. It's about the same for the point one, like the X.1, the Crazy Fast. It doesn't feel that different. I just do feel like this is a little bit more structured than the Plus model. I feel like the Plus model just had a little bit like less responsiveness to the upper because it was so thin. But you know, this one does have a little bit more responsiveness. The sole plate, honestly, it is more on the flexible side, but there is some responsiveness to it. In terms of the heel, it fits pretty nice. I feel like it hugs my heel really nicely, and so my heel isn't like moving up or down or side to side. It feels very secure, which I really like. Alright guys, so I've been at the field for about like an hour and a half, and honestly these boots feel great. I like them more than the Crazy Fast Plus and the Point One. They're just more comfortable, and the upper is just a bit more soft and pliable, and they just feel better on feet for like my foot shape. I feel like the Crazy Fast Plus and the Point One was just a little too plasticky for me, so this is just a little bit softer, more pliable. So if you guys kind of like the Speedflow and like the F50 from 2014, it's kind of a hybrid between those two. It just feels a little bit softer, and the upper isn't as thin. There is just a slight like thickness to it, or like padding, I guess, to like the upper itself. There's like no internal padding to it, but the upper itself just is a little bit thicker compared to the Crazy Fast Plus and the Point One. And so with the Crazy Fast Plus, you kind of had like this like weightless sensation, and you kind of don't really get that here. It's not as light, but they still feel pretty good. And the upper, I'll show you guys real quick. This upper is so much softer than it was before. You guys can see how soft it is. It just feels really nice on feet. This texture here, like you do kind of here, you do kind of feel it when you're dribbling. Like at times, like I did feel like a little bit of grittiness to it, and it doesn't add like a lot of like grip to it, but there is just some, so it doesn't feel so slick. So I don't really mind this. It feels pretty good. It's not like a Phantom GX at all, but there is just some grip to the upper, especially here in the toe box where you do find that grip. This tunnel here feels pretty good. At first you do feel it and it is hugging your foot, but once you start moving around and playing with the boot, you honestly don't really notice it. So it feels really seamless, even though like this material is here and it does have some fused material, so it doesn't really stretch all that much. but it still feels really nice. And because it is thin, you just don't really feel it. It doesn't add any thickness, no bulk to it. It just feels very seamless, so it's a really nice addition. The heel feels pretty good. It has a good amount of padding. I didn't feel like my heel was slipping at all. It felt nice and locked in. And the sole plate here, you know, it is a bit more flexible compared to the Crazy Fast Plus and the point 1, but it does still have some responsiveness. It's just a little bit more flexible. So it's not like overly flexible. It's not like a Phantom GX. It has a little bit more responsiveness compared to that. So I actually like this sole plate a lot just because it's a nice, like, in between, a nice balance. And the stud pattern themselves are pretty good. Like, I wore these on AG, and these conical studs can really help wearing them on AG. These bladed studs are fine. And honestly, I didn't find any issues wearing these. But then again, my AG pitch is a bit on the newer side, so it is a bit deeper. So if you do play on like a shallow AG, then I really wouldn't recommend these because they are just slightly longer than the Crazy Fast and point 1. So I would just be careful. In terms of like the performance, I feel like there is a little bit more structure to the upper compared to the Crazy Fast like Plus. And like I said, it's kind of similar to the point 1. I don't really feel a huge difference in terms of the midfoot. It is responsive, but it's not the most responsive boot. For me, it's enough. Overall, the F50 is a really solid boot, and I feel like a lot of people will like it, especially because the upper is just a little bit softer in my opinion, and the fit is just a little bit better. So that's it for today's playtest. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you're notified for the full review of this boot. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.